My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review for Antlers. Now, this is a movie I was cautiously optimistic for. It's produced by Guillermo del Toro, who I do like as a director. He's very hit or miss for me as a producer. I didn't like Mama all that much, but he also produced The Orphanage, I believe, which is a fantastic horror movie. And this movie is directed by Scott Cooper, who I've only seen Black Mass by, and I think that is a very bad movie that's saved only somewhat by a great Johnny Depp performance. And I haven't seen his other movies, but I was still willing to give him the benefit of the doubt as he went into the horror genre, and I'm just like, you know what, let's see what kind of weird horror movie we're going to get here. Now, back in the 2010s, the biggest issue facing horror movies is that there were too many jump scares and there was too many found footage horror movies. But since then, and I think it started with The Babadook, they've started to course correct and make more effective, more meaningful horror movies, and more often than not, they fail. They attempt to be these slow and boring and meaningful horror movies, and most of the time, they just fall flat on their face. And instead of being these effective horrors, they're just really slow and boring, and they don't stay with you in any way. Now, that's not always the case. I think The Witch is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. That movie is absolute perfection. I also love Midsommar. I thought The Babadook was really good. And I'm sure there's others I'm not thinking of at the moment, but there are some effective, slow, and boring horror movies, even though those movies aren't slow and boring. But what I'm getting at is that horror movies nowadays are trying to be less fun, less scary, and more meaningful. And I don't care if they pull it off, but whatever a movie's trying to do, you have to make sure you succeed at that. So if you're trying to be this emotional movie, you gotta make sure that those emotional moments really land. If you're trying to talk about or ask questions about bigger ideas, you gotta succeed on that. And if you don't do those two things, then I find the slow and boring angle just brings the entire movie down to a point where I get relentlessly bored and I just really end up hating the movie. And that's what happened here. Antlers is a movie that's trying to be about neglect and abuse, and it just did not work for me in any way regarding those two ideas. I think it's a very surface level look at them, and I just found it to be a completely dull horror movie. And this is a horror movie that treats itself so seriously. It moves at a glacial pace. All the actors are very serious in this movie. There's no moments of fun or lightness. It's just dark and dreary from beginning to end, and just none of the exploration of those ideas landed in any way whatsoever. So you just get this very slow and boring movie, and you're waiting for some scary stuff to happen. And are those moments effective? No, I didn't find this movie to be atmospheric at all. I don't feel like this movie built tension at all. And there's moments where you get some pretty decent body horror, but those moments are too few and far between that they don't really stay with you in any way. The practical effects of this movie are really great, but that's as positive as I can get with this movie. It's just a movie that left me so bored and just so on it. It's a movie I'll never watch again. It's a movie I'll never think about again. It doesn't even seem like the actors even wanted to be there. Kerry Russell, I thought she was really great in the movie Waitress. If you haven't seen that movie, definitely check it out because she's great in that movie. I thought she was decent in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and I'm sure there's other movies that she's good in. Jesse Plemons is one of my favorite actors working today. That guy has got incredible range. He can be the goofy villain in Jungle Cruise, but also give a really fantastic performance in something like El Camino. I think that guy is such a fantastic actor, and this is easily his worst performance. It doesn't even feel like he wanted to be there. It just kind of feels like he's sleepwalking throughout this entire movie. And the rest of the cast is fine, I guess. No one's really bad, but no one stands out in any way. And this movie has a really stupid last act. A slight spoiler warning, but I'm not going to get into specifics or anything. But there's a guy who starts to investigate a shed, and he finds someone in that shed. And then he gets attacked from behind and killed. 2 minutes later, someone else finds that shed. He finds the same person in that shed, And it looks exactly like that scene that just happened, but instead of the creature killing this character, he just hits him away. And it's just like, well, we just saw the creature stab someone else, but he wouldn't stab this guy. Why not? Like, it was the exact same scene, and for it to play out very differently, just felt very contrived. It just showed kind of, oh, they didn't want to kill off one of the main characters. And the last act, it's so underwhelming, like, okay, slight spoiler warning, but I'm going to talk about the very end of the movie briefly, but basically the main character, she's just like, oh, I'm going to fight you, creature, and, you know, she gets hit a few times by the creature, and then she gets up and just beats up the monster, no problem, and I'm just like, really? That's it? That's all it took? Huh. So yeah, I thought the last act of this movie was really stupid, and I guess I'll mention, you know, there's kind of like a relationship that forms between this teacher and her student, and I never got emotionally invested in it. I thought all the characters were incredibly bland and boring, and they just felt nothing more than cliches. And yeah, this movie just did nothing for me. I thought it was slow, boring, was never scary, some decent body horror moments, some decent practical effects, but just not nearly enough to stand out in any way. This is a movie that fell flat for me in just about every regard. I'm going to go ahead and give Antlers a 2.5 out of 10. I'm looking forward to the sequel, Antlers. So that was bad. But have you seen Antlers? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon. And Gavin, out.